All right, getting started with our Barretto trencher. When you're loading and unloading, make sure the trailer is hooked up to a vehicle securely. All right, ideally, you're not unhooking and rehooking. You're just hooked up when you pick up, you take it to your job site, you use it, and then reload. Always make sure she is hooked to a vehicle when you're loading and unloading. All right, on the back end side, we have one chain and one binder holding this, strapping down the rear end of the equipment down to the trailer. You can kind of see how it starts, goes under, comes up through one of the hook eyelets, across the other, down to the other D-ring, and then to the other side of the chain binder. Chain binder ratchets, to change the direction, click that over, all right? And then you'll see that you can ratchet it and it'll start to turn. Now, if you notice it's turning the wrong way, all you gotta do is flick this little toggle over. Right now it's going correctly, so as I turn it, it is loosening up the chain. All right, unhook one side. Go ahead and you can pull that off. And that clears the rear chain for unloading. The next step is we're gonna have to turn this equipment on so it can roll forward to unhook the front secure chain. On the front of the Barretto trencher is a secure chain that hooks through the D-ring in the front of the piece of equipment to a keeper hole here in the front of the trailer. Right now it's under tension because when you load the trailer, the equipment onto the trailer, you loop that chain in and then reverse back a couple of inches to get this to tight. Once this is tight, then you can reattach the rear secure chain so that it is secured to the trailer. But to unload, we're gonna have to turn our equipment on, roll forward so we can remove this chain and then unload from the trailer. On the operating end of a Barretto trencher, we have our choke right here on our front end here. So go ahead and pull the choke out. Throttle, we can kind of be mid-throttled here, so you'll see the tortoise and the hair. Go ahead and be somewhere in the middle there. And then up front, further past our throttle, you'll see our ignition. Go ahead and give that a crank. Give it a few moments so it can warm up, and then go ahead and push the choke all the way back in. When operating, you do want a higher RPM to run a hydraulic motor, but for offloading, mid to low RPMs can be okay. Alright, our front chain is still secure, so we need to go ahead and have our machine roll forward a bit to relieve the pressure on that chain so we can disconnect. So we have our safety handle on our one side here. We need to press that so the machine will actually do what we need it to do. So the way this works, this allows us to steer. So if you turn one way, the machine's going to want to track that way. Turn it the opposite will be true as well. All right, so that's steering. Right now we're in neutral. So I do want to go forward, just a hair. There we are. Back to neutral. I'm going to let my safety handle go. I'm going to go ahead and shut the engine off so I can then relieve the pressure on that front chain. Front end of here, our secure chain has a little clevis pin. We're going to go ahead and remove that. So that unscrews from our pin. Allows that chain to then fall out of that D-ring. It's a good idea to go ahead and reinstall the screw into your pin so that it does not get lost and stays secure. So now we have the rear chain disconnected. We just took off our front chain, so now we are ready to go to unload our trencher. On the front of the trailer, on the tongue, you're going to notice that we have this latch here. Go ahead and pull the latch back and over so it catches. This will allow our trailer bed to tilt so that we can unload this trencher easily. So now to offload, we have the chains disconnected. We have our front latch in the open position so that the bed can tilt. I'm going to start the piece of equipment, and then I'm going to go ahead and guide her off the trailer. So we'll talk about our handles here for operation. Basically, we're going to be talking about these two and our clutch lever or safety handle. All right. And so for operating the bar up and down, basically you are pushing this one way or the other to adjust the angle of your bar. And then once you're in a position where you are ready to dig, you're going to pull this into the on position, then engage your clutch lever or your safety handle, and that allows you to start putting power to the chain and digging. Release and everything will stop, movement will stop, and the chain will stop. So for the adjustment of the bar, it's down, pull it back to you, goes up, push it away, it goes down. For actual digging, I'm going to go ahead and push this in the up on position, and then I'm going to pull the safety handle or clutch lever, and that allows the chain to start to spin. If I let that go, the chain will stop moving, and forward movement of the machine will also stop. Right hand side of the machine, you have your steering controls. So there is neutral, and you'll see that there. Steering is done by twisting the handle one way or the other. All right, so you're guiding that machine. I turn it to that point and I'm going forward, the machine's going to want to go left. If I'm turn the opposite way, it's going to go right. All right, and so to go forward, I'm going to push up. And then to steer, again, I'm just using my wrist. Back to neutral. When you're actually doing the trenching, you're going to trench in reverse. So you get to the far end of your hole, your trench, you drop your chain, and you're going to go in reverse. So you'll pull it down into reverse, but you will still do the same kind of steering with just the twist of the handle, nice and gradual. All said and done, always go back to neutral. So now loading the equipment back onto our trailer. Again, make sure that trailer is well secured to the vehicle so that it does not move or cause any kind of difficulties for us. So we're going to crank on our piece of equipment. We're going to make sure our bar is tilted all the way back up towards the operator, and then we're going to load the piece of equipment onto the trailer very, very, very slowly and carefully. So here we go. So once we got the piece of equipment back loaded onto the trailer, we got to do a couple things here on the front end. Let's go ahead and make sure our latch is in the forward position so that the trailer can no longer tilt. Our chain, we'll make sure we take our little screw out there. We'll take the long end, go through our D-ring, pull it through, and then you're going to then re-secure the clevis pin. Now you don't want it overly loose, but a little slack is okay. That gives us some room to tighten up onto. And then go ahead and tighten that all the way back in. You don't need to use tools or anything on that, just a good hand tight will suffice. Make sure the tail end is up on the trailer, and then what we'll do is we'll turn the equipment back on, we'll back up an inch or two, and this will become nice and tight. Then we can secure our rear chain. Resecuring the end of the equipment on the trailer, we're going to take our chain binder, set it here in that little channel, that groove there. We'll go ahead and take our chain, take the first D-ring, then you're going to go through the frame of the trencher. Two nice notches there for that, and then through the second D-ring. All right, we'll take our ends here and loop them into our binder, as so. They don't have to be super snug, but snug enough. We'll change the direction on our binder, and you should see the threads going into the binder, showing that it is tightening up as it shortens. All right, our chain nice and tight and secure. Our binder is keeping everything tight. Our front chain is also nice and tight, and the trailer latch is engaged. We are now completely secure and loaded.